Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Killer Author Club. Tonight, we have a celebrity in the house. Patricia Cornwell is back, and she's going to tell us all things Scarpetta, especially about Identity Unknown, her latest, but so much more. We've got scoop, you guys, so stay tuned, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gutenkopf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Yay, and hi, everybody. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to our new members, and you guys all get your questions ready because we've got a huge show tonight. I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And I'm Killer Heather Gutenkopf.
And I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
And we're so excited to have Killer Patricia here in the hot seat tonight to answer all of our questions about Identity Unknown and the TV series. Like always, we've got tons of killer fun planned. And speaking of fun, tomorrow our newsletter is dropping. And if you guys sign up and give us your email, we promise not to spam you, but you'll get exclusively the list of our shows for this winter and spring. So we've got a great lineup and you'll be one of the first ones to see it. So please go ahead and sign up at killerauthorclub.com. Also, if you can't get enough of our shows, check out the Killer Author Postmortem, also known as the After Show, which is the exclusive podcast. Tonight's show will be available on your favorite podcasting app starting on Friday, and links to download are on killerauthorclub.com. Without further ado, Heather, could you introduce our special guest?
Oh, it would be my honor. In 1990, Patricia Cornwell sold her first novel, Postmortem, while working at the office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Richmond, Virginia. An auspicious debut, it went on to win the Edgar, Creasy, Anthony, and McCavity Awards, as well as the French Prix du Roman des Aventures, the first book ever to claim all these distinctions in a single year. I need to work on my French. Growing into an international phenomenon, the Scarpetta series won Cornwell, the Sherlock, Gold Dagger, and RBA Awards, as well as the Medal of Chevalier of the Order of Arts and Letters. Beyond the Scarpetta series, Cornwell has written the definitive nonfiction account of Jack the Ripper, cookbooks, a children's book, a biography of Ruth Graham, and 3 other fiction series. Born in Miami, Cornwell grew up in Montreat, North Carolina, and now resides in Boston. Congrats, Patricia, and welcome back to the Killer Author Club hot seat.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love being here. We had so much fun last time I had to come back.
Oh, we had so much fun. And we have so many questions about Identity Unknown, your newest. But can you start by giving us a brief elevator pitch of the book?
Well, Scarpetta is where she usually is when it starts. She's in the morgue, and she's in the middle of a really horrible autopsy of a child that is supposedly an accidental or even a suicidal death, but she's thinking otherwise. And you're going to find that this particular situation has something to do with everything else that's going on. But while she's doing this, the phone rings in the morgue. And when that phone rings on the wall, it's never a good thing because hardly anybody has that number. And you're not supposed to disturb people in the middle of autopsies. And there's nobody nearby. So she goes and she answers it. And it's Lucy, her niece, who's calling her from this big bad helicopter she flies. And she's on her way to Dulles Airport. And she's telling her aunt that she'll be picking her up because there's been a body that has mysteriously appeared in an abandoned, and now get this, a Wizard of Oz theme park that's abandoned. And it's all kind of going to ruin. And this body's been dropped in the middle of the old apple orchard right around where the witch's castle is, everything in ruins. And there are very strange things about this body. It has it's nude, it's a man. The skin looks reddish as if it might have been exposed to radiation. And there's a crop circle of flower petals around it that have been blown down in a vortex by the apple trees and so forth around it, because this is in the springtime, or when things are blooming. And what's worse is around the time this has happened, a UAP has appeared on various sensors and radar. Now, UAP as in UFO, What that means is some identified aerial phenomenon or craft was spotted in this area about the time this body appeared on the ground, apparently dropped out of something from a height. So this is what she's going to. Now, if you want to make things even trickier, the person is someone she knows. He's a very well-known astrophysicist that, unbeknown to everybody, including Benton Wesley, her husband, and Marino, her sidekick investigator, she had a very, very impassioned affair with this person in the very beginning of her career when she spent some time in Italy, in Rome. So off she goes, and she has to say, she's got to prepare for what could be a death that involves not only a UAP, but maybe whatever was in it. So how does she prepare for that? So this is how it begins. And it ends, it takes you to all kinds of places, a very top secret facility at Langley Air Force Base where the autopsy's done, an underwater scene where she's got to get on her scuba gear. And it's quite a romp, let me just say. And all of it is legitimate science. There's not anything I'm making up here. In fact, the scene that you guys may not know this, but if you remember, there's a scene where Scarpetta's remembering when she worked for the Armed Forces Military and she was helping the curator in the museum, which was at Walter Reed Hospital, a real place, although it's moved now. And she comes across a secret file that's marked Roswell. Now, I had this very same thing happen to me. When I went to that museum and they took me in this back storage area that was off limits to the public to show me the bullet in the piece of skull from Abraham Lincoln when he was assassinated. They had it, these artifacts. And I'm looking at that and I see this drawer over there. It's all taped up with "do not open" on it. And it seemed very serious. And I sidled a little closer to take a look. Roswell. So I pointed at it to the curator, like, what's this? And she looked at me. She got this weird look on her face, and she says, "Oh, that's a joke." And I thought, but you don't act like it's a joke, and it doesn't look funny. And to this day, I don't know what was in that drawer, but I'm not sure it was a joke. And if you're hearing all the things that are coming out these days from the whistleblowers,
Right.
And in certain books, some of which I'm reading, I don't think it's a joke at all. I don't think Roswell's a joke. So I hope people will have fun with this. I had a lot of fun writing it, even though it's always hard. You guys know how hard it is to do it, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
But it was great. It was so fast, and there's so many elements that come at you. It's so good. It's so
Yes.
good.
Thank
And
you.
it was a romp, and we have so many questions, and I know our listeners do too. So make sure you drop all your questions into the comments because we will get to as many of them as we possibly can. So get chatty, and but now we need to talk about a very important piece of our show, the killer cocktail. So, Patricia, you have chosen the Scarpetta Sunrise.
Cheers.
And
Yes.
yeah, cheers. Yes. Please tell us a little bit more about your killer cocktail.
Well, you start with a nice little glass of ice and a very good añejo tequila. That's and you can be generous with your pour, and you pour that over the ice, and then you pour in some tangerine juice, you pour in some blood orange juice, a little lime juice, and it all kind of starts spreading down, looking like a sunset or a sunrise, whichever one you want. Now, in my case, if you have enough of them, it's going to be a Scarpetta Killer Sunset. and you might have a tequila sunrise in the morning if you've had too much of it. It's a lovely drink, and my partner Stacy is the one who created it. She is so good in the kitchen, and she's a very good bartender. And she's the one who introduced me to tequila. I always thought it was the stuff where you drank it by the pitcher, right? The margaritas, and then you spend 3 days in a coma.
Or over the toilet.
That too. But if you have a really fine tequila, and I love the añejo tequila, you can drink it on the rocks. I mean, it's delicious.
It is delicious. I'm a tequila lover myself. Yeah.
And the plants that it
I'll
goes
get
from,
together and share notes with it sometime then.
I think so. Yeah, that would be fun. All right, you guys, the Killers started Killer Author Club 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best in the business, like our special guest tonight. Also coming up, Geneva Rose, Benjamin Stevenson, Greg Hurwitz, Lisa Unger, and so many more. For dates, times, past episodes, all that stuff, surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, we're here to talk about Identity Unknown, the 28th novel, in the Kay Scarpetta series. Chris Whitaker, the New York Times bestselling author of All the Colors of the Dark, said, iconic, bold, brilliant, Identity Unknown is hauntingly original, impossibly clever, devilishly daring. Love that. Wendy Reviews on Goodreads said, I read this book in record time with the lights on. Yep. Love Books 2119 on Goodreads said, I was so excited to read a new Patricia Cornwell, and it was definitely worth the wait. This is without a doubt the best series, and I've been reading them for years.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah, so very
Thank
nice.
you, everybody who say those kind things.
Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, so with all of the books in this series, you're officially a serial killer. So we need to know your answer to tonight's killer question, which is, where do you kill?
I kill right here, which means you all are at risk. But I'm sitting right here at my desk where this is my home office. Now I will write other places if I'm moving around, including hotel rooms, and I'm sure you guys know what that's like. But this is where it happens. And the funny thing is, because I very rarely take the killer's point of view. I mean, most of my Scarpetta books are her point of view, almost all of them. So I don't have to spend a whole lot of time with the horrible person who does all this, but I do have to know what that person does. And frankly, I can say anything I want, but we all know I'm to blame. We know it's my fault what happens to Scarpetta's old boyfriend, for example. And I did have to think, now I'm going to have to kill somebody she really cares about. How do I do this? Well, I'll just make sure he doesn't suffer very much, and I kind of did. I'm not sure he really knew when he hit the ground.
Right.
But he knew what was happening before that, and it would not have been fun. But I feel a tremendous responsibility about how I have to do people in. I try not to do it in a way that glorifies or celebrates or is disrespectful to the victim, because Scarpetta never feels that way. And even when she had to take care of her dear friend's death and do his autopsy, and that scene is really hard, especially what happens to the body after that, because it has to be disposed of, because it's a biological hazard, because they don't know what he was subjected to. If there were non-human life forms that might have been responsible for this. And by the way, I'll be very quickly say, my alien friends up there, they didn't do it. Okay. It's not really their fault. Now I'm not giving you a spoiler, but it's just like the last one with Bigfoot. I don't like to blame people so that you go out thinking that they're monstrous when maybe they're not. But you will learn a lot about the possibilities of what might be on this earth, because I certainly have been doing a lot of research in that department.
And you could tell, I mean, two things. I think the way that the flashbacks and the memories that Scarpetta had with Sal along the line made his personality just come to life so well on the page. And also the UFO people too. I mean, the way you treat, because it's yeah. Anyway, but first, before we even get into that, I have to ask you, because the last time you graced us with your presence, the TV series with Amazon Prime had just been announced, starring Nicole Kidman as Kay Scarpetta and Jamie Lee Curtis as her sister Dorothy. So we would love, there's lots of big names that have signed on, and I think filming began this month in Nashville. Can you tell us anything?
Well, yes, you are the scoop, because I've not given a live interview since I was just down there a couple of weeks ago in Nashville, Tennessee, which is where the Scarpetta series is being filmed. And I'll show you this. This is my little swag gift that Jamie Lee Curtis gave me. It's a Swiss Army knife with Scarpetta on it. Now, she could do an autopsy with this if she had to. She probably wouldn't prefer that. But the reason I was given that is that I'm the Swiss Army knife, in that if something needs to be fixed, like a forensic detail or whatever, I'm the one that hopefully they call. So that is the little metaphor for me. But anyway, I did go down there and I filmed. I have a little teeny tiny cameo, and I won't tell you what it is. You'll have to wait and see, and don't blink or go to the bathroom, because it will go by fast. But I finally met Nicole Kidman. and spent a little time with her. And that was quite remarkable. And I'm going to tell you right now, she is a lovely person. She is gracious. She's thoughtful. She's generous. And when we were doing our little thing, I had to film with her. I can't tell you what it was, but as we were walking to where we were supposed to be, and I'm thinking, my God, I'm going to do this with her. And I touched her arm. I said, now don't be nervous. I know you, I know you haven't done this very much. But I say this with all sincerity. When I was doing this and I had to say something and I'm looking in her eyes, and I flubbed the first line because I was so busy looking in her eyes, I forgot what I was supposed to be saying. And then but as I looked in her eyes, I saw Scarpetta looking back.
That's so cool.
Amazing.
I really did. And
That's
I thought, and I told her, I said, you're her. I think she waited a long time for you, but tell her not to wait again that long because I won't live to see it. It's been 34 years since the first book. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
No,
Amazing.
and to have it come to life like this with
Yeah.
and
But
Jamie Lee
I
Curtis.
can't wait to see the scenes between her and Jamie Lee Curtis, Scarpetta and Dorothy. I've already heard that some of what they filmed with that is just epic, with the two of them, these two titans going at it.
Right.
And I don't think they've ever filmed together before. So it's I tell everybody, look, don't expect it to be identical to my books. It can't
Right.
be. It's a translation, but it's fun. It's going to be fun. And Bobby Cannavale's playing Marino. I don't know if you know, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with him. And he's going to be such, if I had known Marino looked like that, I'd have those two have an affair a long time ago. But I didn't know. I don't know.
Marino sure would have liked that. I mean, from the books, we know he still has a crush on Kay for sure. So,
But the TV, it's going great, and it's just a world of talented people.
What
And
a cast.
yeah, and the showrunner's done such a good job bringing the stories to the page. And so I think hopefully next year, hopefully in about a year, you'll be seeing it.
So
They'll be
excited.
filming through about February or March, I think.
Congratulations again. This is so exciting. We're so
I
happy.
know. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
so fun, so fun.
All right. Well, I see all sorts of people asking about Oz and if it was based on Land of Oz, the real Land of Oz.
He said, what I can tell you where I got the idea. I get ideas from the internet, and I happened to be scrolling through one of my social media platforms, and I saw this photograph of the yellow brick road in an abandoned Oz theme park, and there is one in North Carolina, and that might be what
I've been to that one. I'm giving away some of my age when I tell you that because it closed in 75 or something like that. I was a wee child, but
A wee little child. Yes.
I don't remember it, but my parents still talk about that.
Well, when I saw the photograph of this yellow brick road that was had dead leaves on it, everything overgrown, it was creepy. And I thought, what could be creepier than something happen in a place like that? And see, in this case, Scarpetta used to take Lucy to that same Oz theme park when she would come visit her in Richmond. And, they would do the zip line, they go climb up in the top of the witch's castle and go down the zip line and this whole thing. So she has all these memories while she's there, but some very strange things happen when they're there too, that will make your hair stand on end. And then of course they've flown in terrible weather. There's a tornado coming, of course. There has to be a tornado. They're not in Kansas anymore. So there's a lot of metaphor to it. It's a real place in terms of the scene, but there's a reason why it was picked. And you'll figure that out when you get deeper into the book about why that place was picked and why so many things are happening that seem to be way too familiar to Scarpetta and her loved ones.
Exactly. And I also you touched on this, but the whole UAPs with aliens. And I think the thing that struck me is you made a point early on. You had Shannon say, or no, you had Scarpetta say to Shannon, her secretary, that it's people we should fear. They're who bring death to our door. And you're almost setting it up early on to say, yeah, like don't blame the aliens or the others. Could be right. Somebody really close.
Well, it's it's an important concern because it's just like when I had fun with the little Bigfoot cameo in the last Scarpetta, and I was very careful because I don't want people going out in the woods with their guns. If you start having a Bigfoot that's ripping everybody up, you start having non-human intelligent beings that are raying us and killing us. Well, you're treating something as an enemy that might be real. Now, I think in the case of UAPs, they are real. I frankly think Bigfoot's probably real. But I try to be responsible about these things because, the War of the Worlds, that book that came out forever ago that caused such a panic. If you read it, it will scare the crap out of you.
No kidding.
And if you think this spaceship's going to land and this is what they're going to do, just incinerate everybody. So I don't want to do that because I also think, look, if we know that anything that highly evolved compared to us could get rid of us in a minute, well, it hadn't happened yet. And until I have evidence that there's something out there that's not us, that's doing these terrible things, I'm not going to place blame like that. And I don't want people to be fearful because you're going to be hearing more about the reality of these unidentified anomalous phenomenon, these UFOs, the possibility that there have been crashes and retrievals and even remains recovered that aren't human. And we need to be sober about this. I say as I have my drink right here. Be clear-headed and not jump to conclusions because we don't know what we're dealing with and we shouldn't assume it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I know people can be terrible, that's for sure.
Right. That's right. I like that line a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, talking about aliens that are, thinking scary and being a little bit nervous about that. But also there's another phenomenon all around us right now in the form of AI. And you have Lucy's former partner reincarnated sort of in this AI program. And tell us where that idea came from and what else do you know about AI and all your research that we should be a little bit nervous about sitting on the other side here?
That's just another perfect example of something that we can either totally fear and try to put that genie back in the bottle, or we can say, you know what, let's be friends. Yep. It's a tool. Us authors, creatives, we all, we especially hear about the threats of it. But I would rather say, let's see how we can use it to enhance what we're doing. Mm-hmm. But the idea came from, the chat bots, the AI chat GP 3, 4, whatever, that when I began to hear about that a few years ago and seeing an avatar that was completely stitched together from videos and audio from people who worked in a lab. And when I was looking at this thing talking to its creator, who looked like God with the beard, the 2 fingers, that was very strange. But when I was looking at it, I thought, you got to kid, I would never know this wasn't a real person. And so so I'm not the one who came up with this idea, but if you have enough video and audio recordings, you could stitch together something and have an app that is somebody that is the person that's died. Their likeness, their voice, their mannerisms, everything. But they are the channel for that artificial intelligence. So imagine that's your Google. Mm-hmm. And that's what Lucy has Janet as that. And she appears on the screen. And of course, in the new book I'm working on now, she's also an app on the phone where you can, there she is, and you can ask her what you want. And this is a real technology. There are people who are already doing this with their deceased loved ones. I think you have to be careful with that because, like, I have a friend whose identical twin died. And she said, if I had that same avatar for her, I would talk to her all day long. And that's where, again, things can be really good, but they can also be dangerous. You have to be careful because that could be bad. But here's the funny thing about it. If you have an AI avatar and you guys are talking to it and asking it questions and telling jokes and asking where it kills and having it mix cocktails for you and do all these things, well, you're changing it. You're changing the algorithm. And that avatar over time will start becoming more like the people who it's talking to. And And so Janet starts becoming a little bit more like Lucy and even a little bit more like Dorothy, who talks to Janet all the time. So, but these are possibilities, and we're going to see it more and more in our everyday lives.
Yeah, I think we just need to keep reading your books so we can keep up on all this.
I know.
And Heather, I think it's time.
Yeah, because Patricia is giving away 2 copies of Identity Unknown to 2 lucky US viewers. So it doesn't matter if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or from our website. We scour the comments everywhere we stream, but please make sure to give us a shout out of where you're from. So for a chance to win, tell us what the iconic K. Scarpetta does for a living. So drop that answer into the comments and we will pick 2 lucky winners.
Easy one.
Easy peasy, right?
I hope I can get it right.
I hope you can too.
Don't tell us.
The Killers are big fans of independent booksellers and want to support them in any way we can, which is why we always ask every author guest to tell us their favorite. Tonight, Patricia has chosen
the iconic
books in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Patricia, can you tell us why?
Well, it's an iconic bookstore, and it's beautiful, and it's in a very smart part of the world, and I'm very grateful that it's here. I'm so grateful for any independent bookstore that's still around.
No kidding. No kidding. Well, I just dropped the link in the comments, so you can go there and order Patricia's book along with the whole Scarpetta series and any others on your wish list.
And obviously, we all love to read, and the Killer Author Club is the place to share the love for fabulous books. So, Patricia, tonight we were wondering, what are you currently reading?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I actually have it on my desk. I'm reading a book called The Mysterious Case of Rudolph Diesel by Douglas Brunt. And it's a fascinating history of the guy who invented the diesel engine and his very mysterious death. And so it's really, really well done. But I'm also reading on my the ebook I'm reading right now is Lou Elizondo's Imminent, which is all about, he's one of the whistleblowers, and it's about his real life experiences that have to do with the UFOs, UAPs, I started saying non-intelligent life. We have that here. We're talking about the other ones. And I'm going to, wow, you talk about something that'll blow your mind. That is one of the most fascinating books I think I've ever read. And it certainly is convincing. And he talks about Roswell. So for those who are interested in that, I highly recommend it. I recommend both of them, actually.
What was the name of the second book?
Imminent.
Imminent. I'm gonna
by Lou Elizondo. And he worked in the program of all this, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will definitely check that out. And speaking of amazing reads, we have 2 new releases that you need to add to your top lane TBR. First, check out The Drowning Game by Barbara Nicholas. Caught up in a web of betrayal, lies, and secrets, the heiress of a super yacht company is on the most perilous mission of her life. So check that one out. And also check out April Storm. And that is by Layla Meacham. A seemingly perfect suburban housewife believes she is paranoid when she notices a strange figure lurking in all the places she frequents until she can no longer deny the reality that she is being targeted. So Barbara is giving away 1 copy of The Drowning Game, and we have 3 copies of April Storm up for grabs to lucky US winners. So you know what to do. Drop your comment if you'd like to be entertained by any of these books. So good luck. Tell us where you're from. And don't forget to check out the killer's latest books.
That's right. Find out what the nanny saw in the sequel to Karis, the second Mrs. Strom.
And Heather's latest, Everyone is Watching, is Big Brother Meets Clue in a reality show gone terribly wrong.
And Paris is always a good idea. And so is Kimberly's The Paris Widow, about a dream vacation gone horribly awry.
That's right. And membership has its privileges, you guys. So if you're on Facebook, check out our private members-only group called the Killer Author Club, where all the killer magic is found, like giveaways, tons of giveaways. Every episode, the killers choose a name from the hat, the Killer Author Clubhouse hat, to win a piece of swag. We've got t-shirts, mugs, candles, totes, hats, all of which can be found at killerauthorclub.com. And tonight's winner is Rachel Mitchell. So Rachel, congrats. Please send one of the killers your address and we will send some swag your way. And folks, if you'd like to throw your hat in the ring to win something for on the next show, all you have to do is become a member of the Facebook group. And the link is coming up in the comments.
Right. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter coming out tomorrow. And Patricia, we have great news for you tonight. You have once again survived the Killer Author Club.
Hell yeah. I will go home and be very grateful. I will have to have more than one of these tequila drinks. maybe several Scarpetta sunrises after that.
We are so happy that you were here. So thank you so much for
thank you for having me back. I love it. You guys are so much fun. Except that I feel like I want to be asking you all these questions about your books instead of the other way around.
No, next time you're back, we can do that. We'll do
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Better watch out if I interview you. You see,
Yeah, we're kind of great about that already.
We would love that. Honestly, we that would be amazing. So. And that does it for tonight's episode. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and make sure you mark your calendars for 3 weeks from today, December 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, when Benjamin Stevenson will be joining the Killer Author Club to tell us about everyone this Christmas has a secret. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and for all the information you need, times, upcoming schedules, past episodes, recipes, and merch, surf to killerauthorclub.com. And thank you, everyone, for being part of the club. And thank you, Patricia, so much for taking time to visit with us. Come back anytime.
Thank you. It's loads of fun. It always is. I really do enjoy it. Thank you. It's a great show.
Thank you.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.